Good morning. This is Dr. Boss, and I am recording this video to talk to you about Module 3, some of the main points. So Module 3 is where you're going to do a peer review of one of your peers' manuscripts. So the process in the journal submission process would be that you submit your manuscript, and then they find two or three people to review it. And so typically they won't know your name, you're not going to know who they are, but they'll try to find experts in the field of whatever's your topic so that the most people with the best expertise are matched to your topic. So here in class I paired you with each other, so you may or may not be an expert in the topic that you're reviewing, but I think that you'll still be able to give good feedback. So these are the two videos that I have here. These are just general how to give feedback, and then one how to give writing feedback. So of course you just always need to be professional. Don't be too harsh, don't be overly nice, just be straight. Tell them this is what I see, and the person who gets the feedback, really you should accept it. So if I am saying, I'm the peer reviewer, and I'm saying I don't understand your explanation of CHF here, then you as the writer really need to take that feedback and see how you can change it, because the writer is going to say, what do you mean? It makes perfect sense to me. How can you not understand it? But if I don't understand it, if I'm saying that, then you need to look back at it and see if there's anything else you can change. Also, something else to know about feedback is that you don't have to take it. So for example, I submitted a manuscript once, and one of the reviewers, I don't even remember what they wanted me to change. They wanted me to change something. And, for each of their comments, I said, thank you. And thank you for the feedback. And then I went and, took their advice and revised a little bit. But this one thing, I just felt like it needed to be the way that it was. And so when I replied to them, I said, thank you for your feedback. However, blah, blah, blah. I made a defense about how I wanted to keep that piece, whatever it was, the way that it was. Well, we went back and forth because this one reviewer was not going to let it go. They wanted that changed, and I didn't. And so I ended up emailing the editor and saying, I've gone back and forth a couple times. I don't know what to do because I'm not changing this piece, and this is why. And so ultimately, I didn't have to change it. But the whole point is, if you may get feedback that you really don't agree with, that could be related to if it was changed, it would alter the whole message of the article, or if it was changed, then it would change the theoretical concept or whatever. So if it's there might be something that you just can't change or you won't change, and so you say why. Here's the defense as to why I need to keep it that way. But all the little edits and things, you really need to listen to what your peer review says and consider changing it. Most of the time it's that people don't understand what you're talking about, or maybe you're going on too long about one thing, or you could explain something a little bit more. So just take those advice and don't take it personal, and see what you can do to fix it. So here's your assignment. You have your peer review assignment, so that's easy. So I'm just going to go over this part 2, compare the initial manuscript with the author submission instructions. So don't spend a lot of time on this. I would just kind of glance over it. Does it look like APA, if that's what they asked? And, for you, I don't want to spend a lot of time here. Typically the journals may or may not on this first round, but it needs to be pretty close exactly to what the journal is asking for. So number 2, for each section, give feedback related to specific content. So is it relevant? Would you suggest including more or less? Does it make sense overall? So this is really important for the peer reviewer. So, go to the introduction, start there and read the introduction and say, does it really catch my attention? Or is it kind of boring? So that's really important in the introduction, that you grab the reader's attention. And it's here where the writer really needs to answer the who cares question. And so that who cares question is, why do we care about this topic? So for example, when I was writing about loneliness in the elderly, I had to make a case for who cares about loneliness, or why do we care? And it's not just because it's sad, it's because that it can directly affect their brain, which can ultimately decrease their cognition, and they could have early cognitive decline. So that's why we care about loneliness. A student not too long ago wrote a paper about polycystic ovarian syndrome, I think, that PCOS. And, she was saying, it results in infertility and in pain and kind of things like that. But I really needed her to change it and really say, what is so bad about it? Why do we care about it? Because if it's just infertility, that's sad, of course, but there needs to be more. So she ended up really saying, I don't remember what she said actually. Oh, well, you could end up, there was some statistics on mortality. So she wrote about that. She wrote about just the really worst outcomes. And so it really grabbed my attention, and I thought, maybe I'll read it. She also started out with, this, originally she had said that PCOS affects 20% of women. And so I said, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. So what is 20% of women? So I don't really know what that number is, but maybe it was 5 million people in the US have PCOS. So whatever, if that's right, or it's probably wrong, but it sounds more dramatic because you go, wow, 5 million people have this and they could die from it. So just make sure and see if they've answered the who cares question, if they've given enough information or the right amount of information to really draw you in and make you want to even keep reading it just as a objective reader. So then just go through the sections and do the same thing. Here's the literature review. Are they talking, from what you can tell, the most important information to support your basic knowledge of this topic and understanding of why they're writing about it? So just go through the whole paper and just give feedback. And after you talk about the content, and sometimes the content needs to be changed up. So for my loneliness, I had grouped, it by the cognitive problem. So I had general cognitive function, executive function, the other, I don't remember all the other subheadings, but I had them grouped like that. But the editor wanted it grouped a different way. And it's funny because my mentor at the time, when I gave her she was on the paper too, she said, you need to change this. It needs to be this other way. It makes more sense. And I said, no, I don't think so. It doesn't. So when I turned it in to the editor, the journal, that was like the biggest thing I had to change, was that they need to be grouped differently. And I can't remember how that is right now, but it was the exact same thing that my mentor said, and I didn't listen to her. So that's just kind of a lesson, but there could be all kinds of things that you might want to change the order of some of the information, or change the way the writer has them grouped, or really anything. So look at the overall sentence structure. Some things I don't like to see are super long sentences, super long paragraphs. A paragraph is not 20 sentences. A paragraph is 5 or 4 sentences or so. Look at their overall grammar, that type of thing. Does the sentence make sense? Does that sentence have a purpose? Each sentence should have a purpose and a reason for being there. And if it doesn't, it needs to go. And it needs to go if it's redundant, or if it simply just doesn't add any value to the overall message. So put all of your edits in track changes, and then you can submit it to me, submit it on here on Canvas, but then also give it back to the person that you reviewed. And then always put, if any of these comments don't make sense, let me know and we can talk and try to explain them, because sometimes that happens too. So I really think that's all you need to get started. It's not difficult, but you just really, I think probably the most difficult part is giving advice that's just right. That's not mean or not too nice. That really just says, this is what needs to be changed. So go ahead and do that. I don't think you need any other instruction to get it done. And I think we'll have an optional meeting at some point before it's due, maybe next week. I don't remember, but it's on the calendar. So in the meantime, if you need anything, let me know.